What a game. I mean, what a performance by the Philadelphia Eagles. They are your Super Bowl 59 champions. Sometimes it's just more about the Jimmys and Joes than the X's and O's, right? Pure domination, pure overall team victory from start to finish. We witnessed a massacre that was committed by the Eagles to the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome to the Chill Taste Podcast, man. I'm your host, Darian, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this game. I got to go to work in the morning. I get up early, but I had to get my reaction on the Chill Taste Podcast, man, because we witnessed an entertaining game. You can say it was boring from a betting aspect. You can say it was boring from a viewership standpoint. But as a fan of the NFL, wanting to see parity, wanting to see a dynasty not continue, not a dynasty, but not a three-peat to continue of consecutive championships, I just wanted to see something different. And as a fan of that, I'm happy with the outcome, right? I'm not a Philly fan, nor am I a Chiefs hater. I'm just overall a fan of the outcome, man. It was a just dominating performance, and I like to see dominating football, especially to a team that some people just say you can't count them out, and I said that as well, man. But I had the Eagles winning this matchup. Before I get into the show, right? Before I get into the bulk of the show, please, if you're not already, follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop your comments down below. How did you feel about this performance, right? Also, if you listen on Spotify, thank y'all for tapping in. Make sure you follow the show, and also if you listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate the show 5 stars. And yeah, drop your comments down below as well. The Eagles win 40-22. 40-22. I think the Eagles have a combined 90 something points in these last two playoff games. It's crazy that the LA Rams and Sean McVay gave this Eagles team a run for the money in the postseason. The Commanders stood no chance, and tonight the Chiefs stood no chance. Domination, however you want to say it, man. That is the only word I can give to summarize this Eagles win. I mean, it was just an overall team domination. It looked as if the Chiefs had no business being on the field with the Eagles, man. That's what I say. Jimmys and Joes. The Jimmys and Joes of Nick Sirianni, what Howie Roseman have been able to create, were better than the X's and O's, what Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have been able to rely on these last few years or so, right? Let's start off with Howie Roseman, right? Because I want to touch base on him because it starts with Howie Roseman, general manager for the Eagles, right? He is the reason why this Eagles team won, in my opinion. Of course, the players have to play, the personnel has to make the moves. You know what I'm saying? The coaches must execute, but they're here because of Howie Roseman's roster constructions. The last championship appearance by the Eagles, of course, they lost in heartbreaking fashion. But, Howie Roseman could have ran that same team back, could have tried it again, and he did, right? But as the last few years went on, we realized this Eagles team wasn't good enough. They were extremely talented, right? But it was some things just missing from them being the top, right? Because even after they lost the championship, I believe they went on an amazing winning streak to begin last year, and they fell short, right? So what happened? Howie went out there and first he made coaching coordinator changes. He forced Nick Sirianni to fire the previous coordinators there were ones here, right? He helped bring in Kellen Moore, experienced play calling with the Cowboys and of course the Chargers. He was a huge focal point in Vic Fangio coming along, right? Vic Fangio was with Miami last year. He got ran out of town. Went up to Philly to kind of sit behind the scenes and be an assistant without a title, kind of be the eyes and ears to what's going on to really revamp their season last year, and it came short. But they gave him a full-time position as DC. He came in and installed his philosophies and schemes, and it was amazing to see, right? But also, most importantly, right, Howie did a phenomenal job of reconstructing his roster while also keeping the core guys involved. Core guys in place, right? Jalen Hurts, you trusted him. AJ Brown, you trusted it. Devontae Smith, you trusted it, right? You lost Jason Kelsey, but you had Cam Dicker step up, right? You were able to the left guard, his name slipped in my mind, Landon Dickerson, I want to say. He stuck around. Mulatto, stuck around, of course, right? Forgive me if I'm butchering these guys' names, right? I'm pretty tired right now. I've been busy all day and I don't have the depth chart in front of me, but he was able to keep the core guys and around this team, right? Darius Slay defensively brought back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a big, focal point of this team, voice and also play. He brought in Zach Bond, right? A guy that was a journeyman linebacker, but they needed more speed and athleticism at the backer position. Retain Josh Sweat. Hopefully he can come back this year. If not, he'll receive a significant bag in free agency, right? The leadership of Brandon Graham on and off the field, right? The draft picks of Nolan Smith to replace Hassan Reddick, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis to replace Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, right? Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean to replace the production of a James Bradbury and Anthony Maddox or whoever the previous slot corner was during that time of last championship appearance. Regardless, though, man, Howie Roseman did a phenomenal job of bringing in pure talent, bringing the best roster and offensively, keeping all those guys intact as I named, but bringing in a huge X factor in Saquon Barkley. They were able to always run the football effectively, always. But Saquon's a different animal. And Saquon wasn't his best tonight, but he was still extremely effective. I want to say he still had over 100 yards from scrimmage tonight. Didn't have a touchdown, but he was still a focal point. He still demanded a hell of a lot of attention. And of course, that led to big time plays in the receiving department with, AJ Brown with some catches. And of course, that long bomb of a touchdown pass and catch from Hurts to Devontae Smith. I mean, it's just pure talent, man. Pure talent. So shout out to Howie Roseman, first and foremost, man. He got the personnel in order. And from the way he built his roster, they're going to continue to be the best team from a roster standpoint from top to bottom for the foreseeable future. Also can't count out the fact that, yes, this team was able to make use of their draft picks. We can't forget, man, what was it, the 2023 draft where they traded down with our 2022 draft. One of those drafts, they traded down with the Saints. The Saints got Chris Olave. They dropped down a few picks. They got a future first-round pick, which turned into Jalen Carter. You know what I'm saying? They had 2 first-round picks after coming off a championship appearance. That's hell of a GMing. That's great general management, right? Being able to get future assets. Quinyon Mitchell this past year's draft. For some odd reason, the NFL let Cooper DeJean hang around, grabbed him in the second round, rounded out that entire secondary, along with the front four being able to get after it. And I'm about to get into the defense right here because they are the talk of this game. Yes, the offense played their butts off too, but I want to harp on this defense. My goodness, man. Front four, rushing four, Carter, Milton Williams, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat. Active. The backers, Zach Bond. Magnificent interception play that put the ball on the damn 10-yard line for them to score with A.J. Brown from Hurts to A.J. Brown. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, pick six as a rookie in the Super Bowl. Being able to manipulate Patrick Mahomes and force a terrible throw. The safety play, Reed Blankenship, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, even Anthony Maddox had a big-time pass breakup. Isaiah Rodgers tackling in space, making big. just so much defensive play. Vic Fangio, I tip my cap. You were 0-10 as a 0-8 head coach and an 0-2 coordinator versus Andy Reid, but you finally got your leg back on the biggest of stages. Man. You called a hell of a game. Man, that would just we'll talk about the inefficiencies of this Chiefs offense to end the pod, right? I said before I end the pod, but Mahomes was pressured on 50% of his snaps. The offensive line for the Eagles did a phenomenal job. I'm quite sure, if I'm not mistaken, Jalen Hurts did not get pressured not one time. They did a phenomenal job of blocking Chris Jones and George Karlaftis and the rest of those guys, the exotic blitzes by Spags. Total overall team domination. Offensively, consistent. Hurts had one bad play. Hurts kept drives alive with his legs. Something that I talked about before in my preview. He must be effective on the ground. He must be able to beat Spags because Spags is going to sell out and prepare for the run. I think Spags did a phenomenal job of stopping the run, even though Saquon still has 72 yards rushing. They didn't account for him as a receiver. He had 40 yards receiving, but they were able to neutralize Saquon Barkley. I talked about that in my previews for keys to victory. but they weren't able to stop Hurts from picking up big time plays with his legs and also making big time throws on the field. Hurts played comfortable. They weren't able to get after him. I think the offensive line did a phenomenal job of protecting Hurts. Saquon did a phenomenal job of blitz pickups, picking up the cat blitzes from the safeties, the corners. Nick Bolton in space. I mean, this is just everything is consistent cohesiveness, man. It was just beautiful to watch. Total team domination. Defense wins championship. Offense wins championships as well. But my goodness, man. Whoo, boy. Someone, one of my boys on Twitter, he followed on TikTok as well. His name is Jay. I forgot his whole entire his TikTok name, and I'm just shouting him out. He might not even listen to this podcast, but he said this game was extremely very reminiscent of what happened during the 2014 Spurs and Heat finals, right? Of course, that was a 5-game series, right? But that what we saw in back then is what we pretty much saw today. You got your let back, but you just dominated, man. The Heat had no answer for the Spurs during that series. You know what I'm saying? Danny Green lit them up. Tim Duncan did this thing. Tony Parker did his thing. Gary Neal, I want to say, the other shooter they had, sparked them up. Boris Diaw killed them. All right? You get what I'm saying? I mean, that was domination. This was domination. That might be the last time we've seen a purely dominating performance in a championship atmosphere where we thought coming into the matchup, where we thought, keep in mind, I'm gonna clarify that, where we thought entering this matchup, both teams were not even, but okay, there's a world where the Chiefs can definitely win this game. That world didn't happen tonight. We didn't see that world tonight. As for the Chiefs, man, ooh, boy, I don't want to overreact. But I was in my group chat, my boys talking about this game. And, you know, I didn't want to see a three-peat, right? Because I like parity. I like to see different teams win. If it ain't my team, I don't want to see domination, right? We just saw domination from the Patriots dynasty, right? Give us a break, please. And, of course, history was on the line for the Chiefs tonight, and I knew it was going to be very hard to overcome that because it's hard to win 3 straight championships, man. It's hard. I don't care. I mean, granted, it was amazing and spectacular in their own right for them to even get there with a 15-2 record. Given how their season went, how their offense has been underwhelming up until about late November, early December. Defense had been carrying them, special teams have been making plays, but it was hard, man. It was hard for them to get here this year. You look at that. Look at those games this year, man. They didn't score over 30 points. I want to say only like 2 times this year. It was tough, but they got here. Amazing in his own right, but I don't know when they'll get here again. Truth be told, I don't know. And I don't want to overreact. I think Patrick Mahomes, and we'll get into him at the end when it comes to the whole debate between him and Brady. We'll say that for the end of this conversation. But I know Patrick Mahomes is great. The best quarterback in football, given his accolades. You can say he's the most talented quarterback in football, too, alongside Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. But I think it's going to be a gap before we see Patrick Mahomes on the stage again. I think the law of averages has come through. You know, I think this core is getting a bit older. We saw Travis Kelce show his age tonight. He looked slow, washed up a bit, didn't have those improvising moments alongside Patrick. And he really couldn't because he was getting boxed up as a receiver. And also Patrick was just scrambling for his life, trying to make plays on the field. Nothing was available. Chris Jones was a bit banged up tonight. He'll be back, of course. He's still relatively pretty young. He's like, 31, 32. He still has some good football left in him. But you're going to see some changes. Trey Smith, I'm quite sure, will leave for agency. I'm quite sure Nick Bolton will leave. I'm quite sure Justin Reed will leave, right? Those are some of their core guys, some of their best guys. You know, I think the law of averages just comes out, in my opinion, man. I really do believe. I think the Chiefs were a bit vulnerable tonight, for sure. Not even a bit. They were extremely vulnerable tonight. I think this Chiefs offensive staff needs to be reevaluated this offseason, top to bottom. They gotta bring in some fresher minds. I don't think Matt Nagy should be the OC, even if he isn't calling plays. There needs to be a fresher mind next to Andy Reid when it comes to scheming up things. Because granted, the Eagles' defensive backs are phenomenal. Vic Fangio is a phenomenal play caller as a defensive coordinator, but it was bad tonight, man. Nothing was open. And I think a better schemer, a better eyes on field for Andy Reid would have really helped tonight. So they need to reevaluate the offensive staff. Secondly, they got to figure out the tackle positions. They may have to get both a new left tackle and right tackle. And it's very unfortunate because there's a lot of money invested into someone like Jawan Taylor, who may not be able to even go this offseason. But contract restructuring, right? He got to take a pay cut. Got to take a pay cut to be able to bring in some help on the left side, rather than free agency or the draft or however, man. They got to fix that left tackle spot, right? They may even have to fix that left guard spot, right guard spot, the opposite side of Joe Thuney. All right, because Joe Thuney was playing his ass off this entire season, playing left tackle and guard, but he's a natural guard. Okay, he's a natural guard. You got to go out there and get your left tackle and fix the other guard spot because he was getting manhandled tonight. I forgot. I think his name starts with I think it's Andrew something, but he was getting manhandled as well, right? So, and also, you like I said, you're gonna lose Trey this offseason, right? So, very tough, very tough. And lastly, most importantly, I'm gonna say it again. Most importantly, the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid and his offense, led by Patrick Mahomes, of course, has to figure out how to get a bell cow running back on this team. Okay, you got to, right? You cannot continue to get bailed out by Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You needed to be able to run the football tonight. They were unable to run the football. Kareem Hunt, he's a bit older. It's not an RB1 in my opinion for a championship game. Isaiah Pacheco, his time is done. After that leg injury, he's not explosive anymore. He just looks like he's running fast. His vision is gone. Not sure what's going on, but they can't run the ball at all. They got to get a running back in the draft. It's a very, very, very stout draft class, right? You can go out there and get Devin Neal right up the street in the 4th round. I don't know. Go find a running back, man. You have to find a bell cow running back to really take this offense to a more substantial level. Because Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. I love what you have in Xavier Worthy. He played his ass off tonight. You could potentially bring back Hollywood Brown. You're going to get Rashee Rice back next year as well, right? But you got to be able to run the football effectively in these games because when the offense can't generate anything in the passing department, you hand the ball off and tell your offensive line to man the hell up and put the other guys on their ass. They couldn't tonight because they're not a run-first team. They're not even a run team. They don't have a running identity whatsoever. You want to know how the Chiefs won last year's championship game against the Niners? Because they were able to run the ball effectively with Pacheco and Jared McKinnon. Pacheco was way better last year. How they won, how they beat the Eagles, you know what I'm saying, 2 years prior, was because they were able to run the ball effectively. Andy Reid got away from that running attack because they love to be able to stretch the ball down the field, but you got to run the ball, man. You got to run the ball. You have to be able to run the ball in this league for you to succeed consistently. And if they want to have any shot at getting back to where they're currently at right now, competing for championships, getting to a championship game, they got to get a bell cow running back, a young one. Of course, you can't get Genty. I think Amari and Hampton will be amazing. You know, Travion Henderson from Ohio State, Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State, Caleb Johnson from Iowa, Devin Neal. You know, there's running back galore in this class, man. You got to go out there and get you a bell cow. Okay. And also, you know, look forward to replacing Travis Kelce. Not replacing him solely this year, but you got to go out there and grab you a reliable tight end too that can be effective, not a Noah Gray, respectfully. Because there's nothing in a tight end room if Travis Kelce isn't his full potential. But, you know, like I said, I don't want to overreact. I share my thoughts on the Chiefs, right? Because it was bad tonight, right? There's nothing good to talk about for tonight's performance. Everything was bad. I don't know if they got a humbling or wake-up call because this happens, man. Like I said, it's hard to three-peat. I think I talked about it in my preview show. There hasn't been a three-peat in American pro sports, if I'm not mistaken, since the Lakers back during the early 2000s. That was the NBA. The Heatles didn't three-peat. The Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant didn't three-peat. I'm quite sure The Yankees may have three-peated during the early 2000s. The Dodgers didn't three-peat. The Astros weren't able to three-peat. MLB, of course. You know, a matter of fact, I'm going to look up the last professional pro sport three-peat. Let me look this up right now. Last team to three-peat. Sorry, man. Forgive me. History in three-peats of sports. Let's see. History of three-peats. The last three-peat. The last three-peat in pro sports. I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Got it. The last three-peat in pro sports was the 2000 to 2002 Los Angeles Lakers, season-wise. Crazy. And before that, I'm looking, it was the Bulls back during the mid-90s. The Bulls during the early 2000s. The Bulls during the early 1990s. And as for the MLB, let's see. The Yankees, like I thought, the Yankees during the late 90s, early 2000s. And as for the NHL, the New York Islanders back during the early 80s. It's hard. That's the overall message, man, about three-peating in pro sports. It is hard, and it's never happened before in the NFL, and it probably would never happen. It is hard. It is hard, man. Teams get older. You have the injury bug. You have money that comes into play. And even with the Chiefs getting here, what happened tonight? They weren't the more talented team. Flat out. It's hard to keep Tyreek Hill around. It's hard to keep L'Jarius Sneed around. If they would have had Tyreek Hill and L'Jarius Sneed tonight, and who else? A younger Travis Kelce and better left tackle play. Tyrann Mathieu in his prime to play alongside Justin Reed. Yeah, they probably would have won tonight. You know what I'm saying? But it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy, man. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to overreact, like I said, but man, the Chiefs got to do some soul searching this offseason, man, if they want to get back here. Because if not, they keep that same staff and they bring back the same team. Of course, yeah, they're going to get. I don't see them getting back here, man. I don't. And yes, you're going to ask me, what other team in the NFL can stop them? What other team in the AFC can stop them? I don't know. But I know for one thing, the AFC West is getting better from a head coaching, calling, and personnel standpoint very soon. The Ravens, they're going to break through eventually. The Bills, they're going to improve their roster and break through eventually. You know, Josh Allen has already broke through with his MVP, so that monkey's already off his back. You know what I'm saying? Cincinnati, they're going to figure it out, you would think. As for the NFC, I mean, you saw the Commanders this year. I think the Lions are going to be back, even with missing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. The Niners are going to come back healthy. Not sure about the Cowboys right now. But and then you're also going to have that team that can come out of nowhere, right? Could it be the Jaguars? Could it be the Giants of the NFC, the Jaguars of the AFC? The Texans get stronger this offseason, right? I don't know. So now that we see inner breakage of the Chiefs falling short at this moment, we might see the others around the league say, okay, now is our chance to fight, to strike while the iron is hot. Now is our chance to strike while the iron is hot. Okay? Maybe we can't get as good as the Eagles, but we definitely can bring in more Jimmys and Joes than the Chiefs this year, right? We don't have the Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or even Josh Allen quarterback play, but let's strengthen up this defense, right? Let's bring in some highly caliber corners, receivers, right? Let's draft a day one running back ready to take effect to the league right now. You know what I'm saying? So my belief is that um, these NFL teams will get better around as well, and it'll make it even harder for the Chiefs to get here. But I'm not saying they'll never get back here. I think they'll get here when Mahomes is, in his mid 30s, around 34, 35. I think he'll get back here. But, should focus to the last topic because, like I said, I think Mahomes will get back here a few years later, right? But the GOAT himself, Tom Brady, he had some gappage. Pause. It might sound kind of crazy, but there were some years, a decade, damn near, between when he won his championship again. Right? He didn't win another championship after winning in 04. He didn't win another championship till 2015. So yeah, 10, 11 years, if I'm not mistaken. My numbers are correct. He had some moments where he definitely got to the championship game. Right? He lost to the Giants twice in 07, lost again in 2011. And those are some of his best teams, especially the the 07 team. Then he went undefeated that year, damn near. If they did go undefeated and he lost on the big stage. So let's talk about this Brady and Mahomes debate because now is going to be the topic of conversation for just as much people talking about the Eagles winning their second championship in the last 8 years and what they did from a total domination standpoint defensively. There's going to be even more talks about how we view Mahomes going forward in his career, especially in comparisons to the top dog, Tom Brady. I'll say this. Slow down. Slow down on the GOAT conversations, right? The greatest of all conversations for Patrick Mahomes. I think he is the more talented quarterback for sure. We've never seen a quarterback play like Mahomes from a talent perspective. But let's slow down on the amount of championships he'll win. Because right now he's 3-2 in championship games. If I'm not mistaken, he's 3-2. And Brady himself only has 3 Super Bowl losses. If I'm not mistaken, he only has 3 Super Bowl losses. Twice to the Giants and one time, of course, against the Philadelphia Eagles. Keep that in mind. He's 3-2, Patrick Mahomes. His stats in these championship games are not that good. Shout out to my guy Joel Moran from the Pick a Side podcast. He made a tweet right after the game, and I'm about to pull it up right now on what Mahomes has put up in these championship games. Give me a second. I'm sorry. I should have had this tweet on standby. But right now, as it currently stands, Super Bowl stats, Patrick Mahomes has 10 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Tom Brady, throughout his games, of course, he played in more games. He played in 10 total championship games. But Brady had 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Now, granted, Mahomes could still achieve that, but he already has more turnovers than Tom Brady ever did. And the touchdowns, we'll see, right? And of course, Brady was 7-3 in the Super Bowl. And currently, Mahomes is 3-2. So we can definitely a long road ahead of Patrick Mahomes, right? Because he has plenty of time. I think he's going to play for the next. He's 29 right now. I think he'll play for the next 10, 11 years, right? The way his game is, the way he's going to be able to get better as a passer and a dissector as a quarterback from the IQ level, he's going to be around for the next decade. Okay. But this is why we say we got to slow down, right? Because it's tough, man. It's tough, right? He was able to achieve so much early in his career, so much. But man, it is tough. It is tough. So I would say for now, we got to dial it back because we've never, I mean never, ever, unless history, I've forgotten, may have been too young during the early 2000s to witness Brady perform in the Super Bowl. But we've never, to my account, to others' account as well, we've never seen Tom Brady play like this on the biggest of stages. Tonight, was an awful performance by Mahomes. Granted, there was a lot of things going wrong around him, but he played his worst football by far. Even in that Buccaneers loss a few years back to Brady, unfortunately, Mahomes played better. He was making crazy throws. We all know the infamous throw that Levante David is tracing him around, and I think Vita Vea is too, and he's damn near falling on his damn legs. And he throws a 40-yard bomb that damn near got completed. That highlight incompletion might be one of the greatest plays of Patrick Mahomes' career because of the sheer effect of him being able to make shit in the chicken salad damn near. Chicken shit in the chicken salad. You know how the saying goes. But yeah, man, bad football from just rancid, horrible football from Mahomes tonight. I'm not gonna look at him any differently. He's still the best quarterback in football, but oh boy, that's something that's a hard pill to swallow, man. I think this will be a stain until proven otherwise. Another basketball reference. A lot of people are saying that this is his 2011 LeBron James finals versus the Mavericks stain, right? We all know how long that stain stuck with LeBron, right? Of course, he responded well from that. He was able to since 2011. Like he was already, but then he just took it to another level. All right. So we'll see what Mahomes can do, how to respond. All the greats respond, right? I think he's an all-time great. I think he's going to go down as an all-time great, future Hall of Famer, gold jacket for sure. But we'll see how he responds. We'll see. We'll talk more about it during the offseason. But as of right now, man, the shift focus back to the Eagles. Once again, congratulations. You know, hell of a win, man. Like I said, pure domination from start to finish from both sides of the football. Most importantly, most defense, my God, man. Just utter amazing performance. Shout out to Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, arguably, and back-to-back championship games versus the Chiefs. He outperforms Patrick Mahomes. That first game, Hurts played amazing. Today, he did everything right, outside of one bad interception. Kept players alive, made a big-time touchdown throw, had two passing touchdowns. He hooped. He hooped, man. He hooped. So, shout out to Hurts. And I think this is really big for Hurts, too, because before I end this podcast, man, I don't have to write in my notes, but I'm just thinking of it because, you know, a lot of us, including myself, down talk on Hurts. And I still don't think he is above anything substantial. Right, I think he's just good at his job and takes care of the football. He's in a very great situation, but he performed tonight, man. We can't say nothing more about it. He performed tonight. Right? He did his thing tonight. Shout out to Hurts, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, and you know he continues his career, grab a few more rings, continue to hoop in the playoffs. You know, continue to get better as a passer. You know he'll get the respect that everyone wants him to have as time goes on. And arguably, I think when it's all said and done, he may very much well go down as the best quarterback in Eagles history. Yeah, even above someone like Randall Cunningham and Donovan McNabb. So yeah, man. Congratulations to the Eagles. Phenomenal win. I know it's parades galore around Philly right now. I'm an hour and 30 from Philly. I will not be making my trip over there. I want to visit Philly, but I have to wait until later in the summer. So shout out to Philly, man, the champs. And yeah, man, this is good for football, I would say, man. So hey, this is the final podcast for the 2024-2025 NFL season. And it's crazy because I just started this podcast again. So 7 episodes in, I'm saying it's the final podcast for the regular season, postseason, whatever. But we're going to get right into the offseason next podcast, man. Starting out with, you know, season outlooks and what should teams do for the draft. And like I said, I want to start with the worst teams to the best. So yes, and also we'll cover other NFL news. And we had some big news drop today, but I don't want to speak on it because we got to focus on this game tonight. So shout out to the Eagles. Second championship in the last 7 or 8 years or so. Second championship in franchise history. And as for the Chiefs, reevaluate, get better if you want to be back on the stage. Me personally, I don't think they will for the next 4 or 5 years. But if they do, they got to figure out how to get better on offense and change that offensive staff up a bit as well. Bring in some fresher minds to the game. So, till next time, man, thank y'all so much for tapping in. Shout out to the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Until next time, that is a wrap.